The working group is also invited to note that in accordance with decision WHA 759, this working group was requested to propose a package of targeted amendments for consideration by the 77th World Health Assembly in accordance with Article 55 of the IHR. Under the latter, the Director General is to communicate that package at least 4 months before the opening of the 75th World Health Assembly.
Dear colleagues, we have been operating with the understanding that the package of the proposed amendments resulting from the work of this group would be finalized by January 2024 to meet the 4-month deadline stated in Article 55. However, we believe that we all share the same sentiment that realistically, the whole package of amendments will probably not be ready by January 2024. I'd like to ask the Secretariat to provide some guidance in this matter.
The Health Assembly, in decision WHA 759, requested the working group, and I quote, to establish a program of work consistent with decision EB 153 and taking into consideration the report of the IHR Review Committee to propose a package of targeted amendments for consideration by the 77th World Health Assembly in accordance with Article 55 of the International Health Regulations, close quote. Article 55 of the IHR, which is referred to in decision 75-9, sets out 2 procedural requirements relating to proposed amendments. The first one is that, quote, proposals for amendments shall be submitted to the Health Assembly for its consideration, close quote. The second one is that, open quote, the text of any such proposed amendment shall be communicated to all states parties by the Director General at least 4 months before the Health Assembly at which it is proposed for consideration, close quote. Again, that's the text of the relevant article of the IHR, Article 55. The idea here is that Article 55, in its basic purpose, is intended to support the principle of fair and due notice. And fair notice means that notice is timely and complete. A note on this deadline of the 77th World Health Assembly. If the deadline is not met, the WGHR would be expected to report to the Health Assembly in May 2024 that agreement could not be reached on the proposed amendments. This deadline cannot be changed as it was set out in decision WHA 75-9.
Thank you very much, Steve, for that explanation. So the deadline is a deadline.
Hi, my name is James Roguski. I live in California in the United States of America, and this video is a public notice to President Joseph Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and our Chief Delegate to the World Health Assembly, Javier Becerra. I would like to make you all aware of a statement or an affidavit of fact. Today is January 28th, 2024. Yesterday, the 27th, was the deadline for the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, to communicate to you and every other member nation a package of amendments to be considered at the 77th World Health Assembly. To the best of my knowledge, he has failed to communicate any such information to the various nations around the world. Article 55 of the International Health Regulations requires, I will repeat, Article 55 of the International Health Regulations requires that any amendments to be considered at the upcoming assembly must be presented at least 4 months in advance of the assembly. Back in October, the working group for the amendments to the International Health Regulation co-chair, Dr. Abdullah Asiri, on October 2nd, clearly stated that the working group was going to fail to meet yesterday's deadline. Since they have failed in their task to provide a package of amendments in alignment with Article 55, I demand that you publicly state that the United States will not consider any amendments at the 77th World Health Assembly. I demand that you stand up in defense of the rule of law and notify the Director General, Tedros Ghebreyesus, that the United States will not even consider for adoption any amendments to the International Health Regulations at the 77th World Health Assembly. I expect you to take immediate action. Notify the Director General as to the United States' position on this matter and make any such document publicly available to everyone in the United States as well as the world.
The working group is also invited to note that in accordance with decision